What is up, my viewer? Spang here, bringing you a continuation of my World of Tanks gameplay, replay, commentary things. Again, this is done in the same night. I'm doing 4 replays back to back to back to back, but these are uploaded at different times. So yeah. Anyway, third replay in about 2 weeks. You know, I mentioned that in the last back to back. Anyway, going on. This is Never Aim again. Because this guy apparently just has so many awesome videos, awesome games. Oh, slight FPS drop. I apologize for that. I am rendering a video in the current background. You know, I've got to get these done as quickly as possible. Life has been hectic and I'm trying to make up for lost time. Now, this is a standard battle on highway. There is no other type of battle on highway. And this is one of the newer maps. I can't say I'm really too much of a fan of this map. I don't really know if I have any specific complaints, but at the same time, I don't love it. So I guess to each his own. If you like this map, good for you. If not, hey, join the club. Anyway, teams fairly even. I looked at them. There's really no distinct difference between them. Never Aim apparently making his tank look cool as he charges into the town. And really just, I think that's one of the reasons I really don't like this map, is because there's so much open space and so much of the first minute and a half, 2 minutes is just closing the distance that you really just lose so much time to travel. It makes for a less exciting map. And I have to say the same goes for the other newer map. I'm having trouble recalling the name of it, but it is pretty much a strictly city map. Heavy on the rail yards. You all know what map I am talking about. Now, right here, the enemy team sending 2 medium tanks to the town and apparently a 3rd medium tank, all tier 5s. And this is a tier 6 match. I don't know how much of an impact those things are going to have. Never Aim in his M10, the slightly heavier armored tier 5 tank destroyer of the American tech tree. The M18 being the less armored, faster moving. Apparently, Never Aim's team getting... Hey, speaking of the M18, apparently I'm wrong. I guess the M18 is... Gosh, I guess it's the T46, isn't it? Let me get that tech tree up here in a second. A T49. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've played the game. Like I said, life has been busy. But hey, all the fundamentals are still there. You never forget it. It's like riding a bike, except it's driving tanks. Anyway, T34 potentially going to get himself killed by Never Aim. We'll see right here. Yes, there we go. Never Aim's fast reload coming into effect. The M10 doing... Like I said, most tanks, especially when upgraded, are pretty decent if they have a good tank driver behind them. So Never Aim proving that point. Moving forward with the rest of his team, pretty much the entirety of his team has gone to the city, making it the primary battleground. His team doing very well for themselves, 4-2 at this point, having only lost 2 tier 5s. The enemy team having lost 3 tier 5s and a tier 4. So definitely losses favoring Never Aim's team. And he's potentially going to get some good shots on this T-150. Is he going to really go bold? Yes, he is. Wow, he's going to crash right through these buildings. Only to an extent. Rethought his actions a little. That, I don't know what that tank was thinking. Really just not the wise decision. Wasting a round on that. He should have simply drove through that. Never Aim getting the kill there. That T-150 certainly in a position to meet his doom. Never Aim's team still doing very well for itself, although the enemy team seems to have a significant push going in the fields. So Never Aim recognizing this, paying attention to his mini-map, as you all should. I'm just saying, hey, watch your mini-map, look for the areas your team's getting overrun, and if necessary, fall back. And that's exactly what Never Aim's doing right here. That medium tank, wow, that situation quickly turning very poor for his team. The enemy team closing the gap. Never Aim saying back to base, while the rest of his team saying cap, go, go, go. But Never Aim saying, no, man, I'm going back to our base. I'm going to defend it, and I'm going to make sure the enemy team doesn't cap us out while we're trying to capture them. He's saying, I'm going to our base, you guys blitz. Some actual teamwork here going on in a random match. I know it's rare. It's something that doesn't happen too often. But, you know, when it does, it's a magical, awesome thing. And you'll see very shortly exactly how well it goes. Never Aim's team still having the advantage in terms of kills. Very significantly so. 9-5. Basically up by 4 kills. But his team behind in the capture points And it's really going to come down to never aim to reset the enemy team on his capture so his team can win rather than draw it out. Because at this rate, it will be a draw match or potentially a loss. But pretty much every single one of the enemy tanks are on his base, and he's going to drive out right here. Let's see if the enemy team has any sort of kind of common sense here. Not really. That Stug 3 pretty out in the open. The M18 never aim doing the very smart thing here and changing targets after each shot, and really hasn't taken any damage yet. Oh, there we go. But the Panzer 4 going to meet his doom here. Not quite. I'm sorry, I spoke a little too soon. There we go, and now he met his doom. And the M18 going to get some solid hits taken on him, while never aim, like I said, doing the very smart thing, changing up his shots, shooting each of those tanks, resetting those capture points, so his team was guaranteed a victory. Now, his team, did they overcommit to the push? Yes. You look on their capture, the enemy team's capture point, you spot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his tanks there. That is excessive. I've said it before, and if this is your first replay that if this is my first replay that you've watched, sorry, tripped over my own tongue and misspoke. Your team, you cannot capture an enemy's base faster than when you have 3 tanks on it. If you have more than 3 tanks on it, it still captures the same fast as if you had 3 tanks on it. The only thing having 6 tanks on it does is kind of spread out those capture points a little and makes it a little harder to reset. But at the same time, when you have this sort of advantage, when you have this sort of you realize that pretty much all the enemy team is on your base, you should send everyone back except for 3. And those 3 should be your fastest. Now, this is talking from a strictly strategic standpoint. His team obviously kind of just went on the fly and kind of, this isn't a very, like I said, it's a random battle. It's not meant to be coordinated. But at the same time, you know, he did very well for himself. Never aim, making the absolute right call and going back. And like I said, in my opinion, he should have had at least 2 or 3 more teammates heading back with him. But, you know, proving to not be necessary, never aim being the awesome player he is. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up. Yeah, I'm not trying to stroke your ego or anything. I'm just speaking the truth. Doing very well for yourself, getting a decent amount of credits and experience on a victory, you know, obviously getting yourself defender and apparently sniper. So getting 12 for 12, that would explain the sniper. You know, perfect accuracy always helps on a sniper. And destroying 4, one of those, actually 2 of those being on the capture point. So proving to be a very valuable member of your team. Definitely, like I said, it would have either been a draw or a loss. And you are the only reason your team didn't have either of those. But anyway, this is going to be a back-to-back. I will be right back with another replay, so catch it in a minute. What is up, my viewers? Sping here, bringing you the continuation of the back-to-back. Now, this time it is a replay from Weasel2513, pretty much his first replay he sent into me. And right now they're talking about the Death Turtle, aka the T-95, basically coordinating for artillery to take it down as soon as he can. Now, Weasel here, he is running the BL-10 on his ISU-152, making it a very potent weapon. This is, okay, if you will bear with me a minute while I go into my settings here, because I did not think, and edit this. This is the preferred setting I like to have when I'm doing commentaries. So it basically makes it easier for me to have a better insight into what has happened, especially for ammo racks and damage done. And there we go. Let us just increase the size of the minimap. Hold on, I missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And now let's continue this thing. So, standard battle on airfield. There is no other type of battle on airfield, and he's playing the ISU. There's a significant difference. His team does have an SU-152, and don't get me wrong, the SU-152 is a very potent weapon. If you watched my replays at all, you will know I typically ruin people's days in the SU-152. Its rapid rate of fire, that 8.08 rate of fire, typically causes issues for other tank players because you dish out on average 390 damage per shot every, you know, however many seconds, less than 10 seconds. So very potent weapon. But the ISU-152 plays very differently. It has a much slower rate of fire, but a much higher damage and a much higher penetration. If you're using the BL-10, that is. Very important caveat there. Now, the enemy team apparently killing one of his scouts, and as I was saying, the team's fairly even. Yes, there are some preferred tanks on either team. The enemy team having a T95, but his team having an ISU-152 instead of that T32, and I would take an ISU-152 over a T32 any day. Point proven right there. Basically, we had Weasel take off over half that T32's health, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. You play the defensive posture, which is what you should typically play these types as tank destroyers. That's the playstyle for these types of tank destroyers. The high damage guns, slow firing tank destroyers, you play in the reserve. You play slightly further back, and you take the shots at a distance, and as soon as you fire that shot, you fall back and reload. And it's basically direct fire artillery. Now, his team still not quite making up the difference, but if you look at the tanks lost, yes, his team has lost 2, but they're both scouts. They are both tier 4s. I'm sorry, one's a tier 4 and one's a tier 5. But the enemy team has lost a tier 8 heavy tank in a tier 9 battle with approximately 4 tier 9s per team. And the enemy team, like I said, having some preferred tanks, but his team also having some preferred tanks of lower tiers. Like, for example, I would take an E75 over a 4502P. And I would take a T95 over a Patton. It's just the way things go. Now, this Leopard potentially going to get himself killed. His team, Weasel's team, having a significant push in the south, going up against a tank destroyer, several tank destroyers apparently. Pushing perhaps a little too far forward. I would suggest artillery start supporting that southern push, because I don't know if there is really much they can do to help this northern push. Now, this northern push having 2 tier 7s and 1 tier 9, and apparently the T95 is in the south. The enemy team pulling ahead now, definitely putting Weasel's team in an uncomfortable position. Weasel potentially going to, not quite, but he will get that Tiger P to be a one-shot for that 4502. Not really much of a victory though. The Tiger P, while a potent tank in a tier 9 match, the Tiger P does not have that much of a pull. This 4502 on the enemy team, however, going to meet his doom here. I don't see any other thing. If I was Weasel, I'd be prioritizing the tier 9 heavy tank instead of the tier 7 tank destroyer, which he just killed in one shot. And don't get me wrong, a tier 7 tank destroyer, I guess it's somewhat of a threat, but he should have really been prioritizing that 4502 Papa. And he, again, from a personal perspective, I always pay attention to the higher tier tanks. I shoot the bigger threat and eliminate that larger gun from the match as soon as possible. Now, he may have just been in that mindset of, my teammates will take care of that 4502P. I'm going to kill this target of opportunity, this tier 7 tank destroyer, which could potentially cause problems later, although it is not nearly much of the threat that I would basically say. Like I said, in a tier 9 match, tier 7s aren't going to have that much pull. Again, he killed a tier 7 tank destroyer. Not that much of a threat. Now, can it hurt him? Yes. So in terms of threats to him, those tier 7s are definitely somewhat of a priority. But at the same time, those tier 9s, again, are a much larger priority. The enemy team quickly losing their advantage. That T95 to the south, I saw it getting very heavily damaged by artillery and other rounds. So it is close to death. And right here, apparently he's going artillery hunting. He is guaranteed a one-shot on any enemy artillery that he comes across. That is just a fact of the BL10. The minimal damage you will do is 500 something, if I recall correctly, 560, I believe. Well, not exactly, but around there. So he is going artillery hunting, guaranteed a one-shot on this SU-8, which apparently is getting a little ballsy, but will prove to only be destroyed. You know, kind of got a little too bold. The M12 coming in to do something, but not really sure what, other than just a slight bit of damage. Like I said, the M12 kind of panicking, I suppose, is the only reason I can think for his actions. This M26 still near full health here, potentially a very costly repair bill coming in the very near future for Weasel. This M36 I mean, M36, that is a completely different tank in the American tank tree. But this M26 is going to take a significant amount of damage, high end of his damage there, and artillery finishing him off. Very well played by Weasel's team and Weasel himself. You know, recognizing the opening in the enemy's lines and going for those artillery killing shots. Apparently an scenery plane flying in the background. If you see an FPS drop, that is again because a video is rendering in the background. I'm trying to make up for lost time, as I said previously, and sorry for the little bump there. But the only tank remaining, yeah, Weasel here saying he's loving this BL-10. It is a very potent gun, without a doubt. I have yet to play my ISU-152, and I certainly do not have the BL-10 unlocked on it. But I am looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong, I love my T110E4. It is a very potent gun in its own right. It's basically the same thing, in my opinion. It has the same amount of, pretty much, for all intents and purposes, it has the same damage and same penetration. Yes, there's a slight difference there, but it's nothing significant. Now, we will see right here, Weasel, I can tell by those stats, he does have premium. He got a good amount of experience and credits on this match, and he was basically the artillery killer, eliminating all three of the enemy team's artillery. I don't know how else to put that, and I think there is an award for that now in the 8.0 patch. Or something along those lines. But he got 5 kills, 3 damages, and 1 detection. 8 for 9 on his shot, so pretty damn accurate if I do say so. Taking 2 hits and not that much damage, as you will see. But no one getting any sort of battle hero. Still, a strong victory, a very well played game, and kudos to you, Mr. Weasel, for eliminating that enemy artillery. Certainly you are of value to your team, as if that wasn't apparent, getting a third of your team's kills. But anyway, if you like this video, click that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. And as always, if you got a replay, send it to spanglereplays@gmail.com. Email in the description. And this has been Spang, and I'm signing off.